Beavers' 2017 season is a third of the way done.
The Beavers, they need to regroup. They're going to be 1-3.
A loss at Washington State opened the Pac-12 slate. Now it's time for a bye week and a reset. An update to the status of Jake Luton and a look ahead with Coach Gary Anderson for the next half hour. Beavers Inside the Huddle starts now.
Everybody be a playmaker. Here we go.
Throws toward the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Beavers!
Well, the next time the Beavs take the field, it'll be inside Reser Stadium as it is a much-needed bye week. Welcome into the Beavers Inside the Huddle studio, along with Steve Priest. I'm Dusty Harrell. We'll be joined by Gary Anderson in a few short moments. But, Steve, as we take a look, a third of the season is done. We have hit the bye week where it was supposed to be that Colorado State game that got pushed to the front of the year. What are your thoughts as you're taking inventory a third of the way through?
Well, I mean, this hasn't been the season any of us were expecting a month ago. And I think that right now, this coaching staff has to decide, and they have always been, to be brutally honest with these players. I mean, you aren't going to get wins without getting better, and I mean a whole lot better. So, you know, this is a bye week. It came at the right time because the coaches need to coach harder, the players need to play harder, they need to do everything better, and then win a football game when they come back. Get rid of the injuries, too. So this is a big week for the Beavs.
Big week for recruiting as well,
yes,
as you're looking for future Beavs as well. All right, well, let's get to it. Dive right in to our Pyramid Heating and Cooling Hot and Cold, brought to you by Pyramid Heating and Cooling. All right, where we start, the hot Ryan Nall. He had another heck of a football game as he crosses over the 100-yard mark and punches it in for 2 touchdowns against the Cougs.
You just watch how strong he is. You know, he breaks these tackles, and he breaks them and then gets to high speed. And, man, his size is remarkable. 118 yards. You know, he's averaging 6'1" for the year, and as you take a look at what he's done game to game. But I think it's also important to note he's carried it 15, 16, 7, and 15 times. And normally he gets a lot better the more he carries it, and I'd still like to see him get out there to 20. Possess the football, keep it away from the other team. I think that's a key to the success of this Beaver football team to get on the winning track.
53 carries, 323 yards, 4 touchdowns on the year so far from all. And you saw in that Washington State game, the most dangerous part is when he gets to that second level.
Yes.
And the defensive backs have no chance against him.
I can't imagine defensive backs one-on-one with him. I mean, you played in the defensive sector. I played, and that's not the guy you want to meet back there.
No, not at all. All right, time for cold. As we saw, or excuse me, hot still. The defensive pressure got ramped up a little bit. Finally getting in the sack column, 3 of them against Luke Falk and the Cougs.
Well, and it was broken up, too. A sack and a half defensive line, as you see right there. A half a sack with the secondary, Austin Hudson, safety playing, starting his first game. He's in there, and Shamar Smith at linebacker. So Coach Kuhn's putting pressure on from all 3 levels, doing a good job, and I think it's important that they continue to do it as you look at the goals for the season.
Yeah, 30 sacks, 30 takeaways were the goals. They're not on pace to get either of those as of right now, but well, you like to see that defensive line starting to heat up.
Yeah, and in fact, there's been pressure. Remember, this was Luke Falk. They got 3 sacks against a real good quarterback, and I think that they've put pressure before, but the coverage wasn't there to give them a sack. And I think you look at it, it wasn't just the sacks. There were 8 tackles for loss. There were some people on the other side of the line of scrimmage this game, and that's really the first time this year we've seen that.
2 hots, now cold. Time of possession, what looked like it was going to be the bright spot for the Beavs is in the first quarter, 11 minutes, and then you see it just slowly taper off as the game went on.
Well, after I saw the 11:04 at the end of the first quarter, I thought we must be winning here, but we weren't at the time. And you know, the Beavs got lower and lower as Washington State controlled it better. I like the possession time. It's the first time all year that they've won possession. Last year they were well over half, so that's a good sign. But third down possessions and possession are things that the Beavers have to win the rest of the way if they want to have a chance to win the game.
One of the things that's on everybody's mind is the status of Jake Luton, the quarterback. We'll talk with Coach Gary Anderson about that and where the Beavs move forward as they hit the bye week on Beavers Inside the Huddle. Welcome back into the Beavers Inside the Huddle studio as we head now down to Corvallis with the coach, Gary Anderson, joining us live. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
No problem, guys. Hope all is well.
Coach, Jake Luton. He was starting to pick this up pretty well, doing some really nice things, still throwing over 60%. Now a severe injury. That's kind of the story of the week, of bye week. Can you tell us about his condition and where does he go from here in timeline?
Well, I don't really have a timeline. Dr. Ackerman will have to fill us in on that. I know I've talked to him, and he's seems to be getting in better spirits and feeling a little bit better. So, but I really don't have a timeline for you as far as how long it's going to be, and all that stuff's going to be up to Doc. And obviously, as Jake continues to go through, the key for us is to support him, help him. That's a tough injury to go through, obviously physically, and there's a mental side to that situation also. So we're doing all we can to support him. He seems to be as good as he could possibly be, in my own opinion, and talking to him on the phone and texting back and forth with him. And right now, we're just here to support him.
The bad news is, obviously Jake goes down, but the good news for the program is that you have Daryl Garrettson, and he's there. He's a guy that started games for you. We talked a couple weeks ago about how he's been checked in this whole time and been everything you'd want in a backup quarterback. Can you talk a little bit about Daryl in his approach while being the backup and how that may benefit him as he slides back into this starting role? Well,
the biggest thing I can tell you about Daryl is, whenever Daryl and I talk, it's very simple. His message is, Coach, I'm all in. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And that's the competitor he is. You're not going to surprise Daryl Garrettson in the world of college football. He's been through it all. He's been through a lot of games. He's been through some ups and downs and ins and outs. And he's excited for this opportunity. There's no doubt. He and Jake have a very good relationship, so obviously he didn't want to get the starting position this way, but he's excited about the opportunity to lead this team. I know that much, and he's excited to play well, and he'll have a little thought of Jake in his mind when he's out there playing well, I'm sure.
Coach, he gives you some other opportunities. Everybody knows he runs the football, but that really changes what the defense has to do. They are not respecting him on a play-by-play situation when you bring him in, but they have to prepare now every single play to see the read option and see a quarterback on the move. That's got to help your offense.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Especially with Daryl's skill set, you need to make sure you manage the offense to handle Daryl's skill set and also put him in a position to be successful. So his ability to run, his ability to do a few more things with his legs is obvious. His ability in the pocket to not be as tall is obviously something that we need to address too. So the ability to potentially move a quarterback a little bit more, get him out in space. Daryl also has the ability to scramble. And when it's those 4-man rushes or 3-man rushes, Daryl's a little bit elusive in those situations and hard to find at times, which is a good thing. So it's good to have those legs if that's where you're at, but the key is to make sure you functionally build the offense off of that to give you the best opportunity to succeed.
You can't be happy with your offense so far, but there are some individual portions of that you've really got to be happy with. Some of your running game, Ryan Nall's preparation, having Seth Collins back. What is it that looks bright for you right now on this offensive side?
Well, we definitely ran the ball better, and against a team that, quite frankly, we jumped out on a year ago, and obviously they came back and won the football game. And one of the issues in that game was the ability to not run the football effectively. We had some big runs in that game a year ago, but this year I think we were more consistent, had some good solid runs, and Ryan got himself over 100 yards, which is good to see. So that is definitely a positive. I thought our ability to handle their movements up front were much better than they were a year ago. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to the ability to score points. So our throw game has to have some explosive plays, and those big plays that get us in the end zone from distance. And that's the next step for us to be able to score enough points to be able to win Pac-12 football games. And that has not been there to this point. We'll continue to work at it. It was good to see Seth back out there. Seth gives us some playmaking abilities, and I expect that to grow as we continue to move through time here and keep all the wide receivers actively involved as we go through. They have to do their part, and the quarterback has to do his part, and then obviously the coaches need to put him in position to make plays. But it was great to see Seth. I believe he had 7 catches, and so get him back out there gives you an element of speed and definitely competitiveness and toughness, in my opinion.
All right, we're just getting underway with Coach Anderson down in Corvallis. From the offense, we'll start talking about the defense and the ability to get to the quarterback as they got to Luke Falk early and often.
Luke Falk under pressure. Falk goes down. The first sack of the season for Oregon State at the Beavers 45. And the second sack of the day for Oregon State as they took the shovel pass away. Protection breaks down, and he is sacked for a third time today.
Luke just took the brunt of that punishment.
Welcome back in as we're joined by Coach Anderson down in Corvallis, and we shift from the offense over to the defensive side of the ball.
Coach, 3 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. But what I liked was that pressure against a very good quarterback was coming from all 3 levels. I thought Coach Clune got linebackers, defensive linemen, they were all in the fray. Does that size up good for the rest of the season?
Well, you sure hope it does. It's a big step to be able to get those kids in those positions and then be able to make the plays. There was a good mix of some 3-man pressures, or not pressures, but 3-man rushes that I think our kids attacked it, especially in the first quarter, the right way. The goal is to get on the guard, both guards in the center, and be able to push that pocket and bluff out those tackles a little bit. I think we got some good one-on-one matches, got some good pushes. We're able to get Luke off his mark, and that was the goal. It's the sacks are great, but get Luke off his mark of 9 yards behind the center, ready to, just survey the field. In the second quarter, I thought that went away, and it wasn't nearly as effective. In the third quarter, it came back, and Luke was able to make some tremendous throws. But it was a good mix of different calls, different types of pressures, and some scenarios that came his way. He's a very good quarterback. He was able to, get a couple of those zero blitzes where we came free, and a couple of them we popped in pretty good. A couple of them they blocked up for a second, and he was able to get the ball out to those wide receivers. So, we were aggressive. I thought the plan was pretty aggressive, which it needed to be, and Luke did a nice job. Bottom line is he was way more productive than we were, but there was some good things that were coming out of the pass rush.
Outside of the sacks, you guys also had 8 tackles for loss in that game. As we sit here, a third of the way of the season done, what are some of the bright spots and what you've seen the biggest progress in the defense through the first 4 games?
Well, that was their ability to stop the run. We get down a couple times down there in the red zone, it backs up against the wall, and they want to try to pound it in there. A couple times there was nothing there for them on the inside. I think we've adjusted the scheme to help them in that situation. The kids are playing with some confidence as far as inside the tackle box. That's been good to see. That'll be challenged mightily this next week. I think we're getting better pressure on the quarterback. Our key now is we have to be able to make critical plays in critical times, and that has not shown up yet. It's definitely a point of emphasis, and our ability to put the kids in those positions we'll continue to work hard at, and we need to make those plays when it presents itself. But that's the scores are the scores, and that is the bottom line, and we need to play better defense.
New people on the defensive side. Hudson this week, Morris the week before, Wilson this week. A lot of people coming in for injuries in critical situations, and actually not just making an appearance, but really playing well.
Yeah, I thought Sean did a nice job stepping in, obviously, with Dwayne Hurt. That's going to be him there a lot. When we get into those sub-packages, it's going to be Sean's time to jump up. And, I thought overall Jay Irvine did some really good things out there for us. A couple interesting calls have gone against that young man to this point, but that is what it is. You need to bounce back and play. That's part of playing the corner position. I like what David continues to do. He's continually growing. He's getting better every week. He's becoming a better communicator. He's a tough kid. His care factor is off the charts, which is great to see. And Austin Hudson is the same way. Austin has now kind of felt his way. He missed a lot of time during camp. As he was going through his academics and some scenarios that he has, he's a high-end academic guy, and that'll always take priority, and it cost him a little bit as he went through camp. But now, once he was able to settle in and get the scheme, he's done a nice job, and he's shown that he deserves to be on the field. So it's good to see those kids, step up and go. We still need some of those other young guys at the backer position to step up and play the right way. They need to grow up, and they need to get themselves in the moment, and that's going to be key as we continue to move forward at the inside backer and the outside backer position.
Well, now it's time for our expert picks. We got the expert down in Corvallis, and ours right here, Steve's expert pick, brought to you by your local Carrier Heating and Air Conditioning dealers. Carrier, turn to the experts.
Mine's pretty easy, Coach. Daryl Garrettson. I feel like that this is Daryl's opportunity to step in for a close friend of his who's had some injury problems. He had this happen to him last year. He knows what's there. You've already talked about him and what kind of guy he is, but he's equipped to be a special player here when he has to, and I'm excited about that for him.
Agreed. And It's his last rodeo, so his opportunity to go out and compete and play, he'll be very excited about that opportunity. And you know, again, it is his senior year, and he's proud to represent the school. He's going to give it all he's got, and for all the games that are left, he'll play his tail off, or however many opportunities he gets to start. So he'll be ready.
All right, as we wrap up our expert picks, we have to get our keys to the bye week from Coach and us as well, as Beavers Inside the Huddle rolls on. Well, there's the past and there's the future schedule for the Beavs. Bye week this week before welcoming in the Huskies. Then it's USC, Colorado, Stanford, Cal, Arizona, Arizona State, and then the Civil War down in Eugene. All right, the bye week is upon us, Coach. And what are the keys to a bye week for your Oregon State Beavers?
Well, number one is to get a head start on Washington, without a doubt. Number two would be the techniques and fundamentals. It's a great time to be able to have some individual and get those kids back within their individual drills per their position groups, which we've been able to do. I think even our young kids have had a good week of getting with their coaches and getting a little bit of individual, which is always a positive. And school starts. You know, school starts. That's a big part of this week, to make sure they get in and get themselves settled and get their business rolling and get their syllabuses to their coaches and so on. And then lastly, I would say, you know, don't forget about football, but you know, walk away just a little bit on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they have off. And I expect them to come back and have already watched the Washington game that takes place this weekend. So that's key. But we've had some good practices. You know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to get good practice work as we continue to go through. So that's 3 good days, and we'll come back Monday, and Monday will be like a Tuesday, Tuesday like a Wednesday, and so on.
All right, Coach, thank you for taking the time on your bye week, and good luck hitting the recruiting trail this week. It's a big recruiting week for you guys, I know.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, it is. It's big to get out there on the road. I appreciate you guys as always. Have a great week. Go Beavs.
Go Beavs.
All right, and this is what we have coming up for you for Beavs shows. As you can see, Talking Beavers, it all starts Wednesdays at 7 p.m. And then it's us Thursday nights at 10. Fridays, 9 o'clock, Go Beavs is on, except for this week. No Go Beavs on bye weeks, so none on the 23rd or October 21st. All right, now it's time to hit up our keys of the week. We've got them from Coach Anderson. The keys of the game are brought to you by your Northwest Honda dealer. Stop by your local Northwest Honda dealer or visit us online today at northwesthondadealers.com. Steve, what do you got?
Well, I think on offense, the Beavers still need to work very, very diligently at getting that ball out quickly. This is going to be a tough part of the season. Washington starts the real good defenses that the Beavs are going to see. So offensively, get the ball out quickly. Defense, work on assignments. I still think the Beavers' biggest problem is they are making mistakes, and they're sometimes little mistakes, but they're keys, and they give somebody a first down or a big play or a touchdown, and you've just got to play assignment perfect football. And last but not least, the Beavs haven't played a full game, so maybe this week, with whatever they decide to do and the 3 days off, maybe they can play a full game against the Huskies, because it's going to take that and then some to win a football game against the Dogs.
You know, you still got that player mentality. You're going on the, like, attacking it like it's game week. I went big picture with my keys to the game this week. Get healthy, number one. I think that's, surprisingly, not a lot of injuries outside of the Jake Luton major injury. They have not had a massive injury concern. Number two, stay together. This can be a time of the year you're sitting here 1-3 heading into your bye week, and you can have fractures. One thing that Gary Anderson and his staff have done a phenomenal job with in their time in Corvallis, they have kept that group together. And then number three, have fun. You know, they get that Friday, Saturday, Sunday break, as Coach Anderson was saying. Have a little fun, relax. Remember, you're still in college, and, you know, be smart and safe.
Yeah, probably the reason they're together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, coaches, we head into the bye week, and we're sitting here and we're looking at this, Steve. It's, you mentioned, of all of those things that kind of go into offense, defense, what's the most important thing when you're in a bye week, if you're going to pinpoint one thing?
Well, I think you have to just get your head together and set goals for the rest of the season. You know, there's some things that the Beavers have to do on the field with leadership and with just a will to win. If there's anything in my heart that I think they're missing right now, is just be prepared to take this the rest of the win and go out to win games. Do whatever it takes to win football games.
You were on a team that was labeled the Giant Killers. If there was ever a time to start a run, Washington, USC, Colorado. I mean,
Those would be giants.
This is the time to do it, and that's what you're talking about. That kind of that killer instinct that those great teams that you were on in the early 2000s, and some of those teams that Coach Riley had, they had that instinct at the end of games in full 60 minutes.
Absolutely. I had a great coordinator in Los Angeles, Ray Malavasi, and he said they can't beat you unless you let them. And that was his position. He became a head coach and a Super Bowl coach with the Rams and so forth. And I believe that man.
I like that. That's a good football guy quote right there. Well, they won't beat you unless you let them. All right, we will see you next Thursday right here with Coach Anderson. The Beavs get ready for University of Washington. But right now, it's a bye week. Relax. Have a good week. We'll see you next Thursday.